Hello and welcome to the Week 9 version of the Survivor podcast. If you are still with us, congratulations. Everybody else is gone. You have made it this far. That said, this week did not have very many casualties. If you played this one close to the vest, you advanced. And we talked about, hey, listen, probably the safe play is the Cowboys. Probably the way to go. You don't have a ton of future value with them comparatively to these other teams that you could save for, a couple of weeks down the road. That was the most popular pick in the Circa Survivor pool was the Cowboys. And so we were on to something there, Steven. That said, everybody made it through, basically. The only way you got eliminated this week is if you got super cute. So it seems like we probably have the same crowd this week that we had last week.
Yeah, for sure. Chalk City in week number 8 of the 5,500 or so entries on the ESPN nationwide pool, only 556 were eliminated. So only about 10%. I was surprised it was that high, to be honest with you. I think a decent number of that was actually the Bengals on Monday Night Football. So mostly the chalk, though, came through with the double-digit favorites in week 8.
We do have multiple double-digit favorites this week as well. The Eagles are 13-point favorites over the Texans. The touchdown favorite are the Bengals at home over the Carolina Panthers. As we go down, the Bills, 13-point favorites over the Jets. As we scroll down a little bit further down the board, we have the Chiefs as 12.5-point favorites over the Titans. Everything else, you're going to have to get into a little bit of that kind of if you want to play it, a little bit more risky, that 5.5-ish type spread, things like that is where you're going to be looking. Dolphins over the Bears right now is sitting at 5. We have the Patriots at 5.5 over the Colts. So those are other options as well. Steven, listen, here's where we are yet again, where we were talking about you're in a pool. There's not a lot of people left. We were talking about playing the chalk as much as humanly possible. If you did do that, you're probably still sitting there with the Chiefs, with the Eagles, and with the Bills. And so you have the 3 highest rated power rated teams in everybody's power ratings, most likely still available to you, all 3 as double-digit favorites this week. Again, depending on the size of your pool, I think you have to at least start there and consider one of those 3 teams. And then if you are still, if there's still a decent amount of people left in your pool, which there probably isn't, then maybe let's start talking Dolphins, let's start talking Patriots. But I really do think you start with one of those 3 teams that you held until now. Anyway, this is why you held these teams. You have 3 awesome options this week.
For sure. I can't disagree with you. The Eagles, you saw it last week. You called it going into the game. The Texans literally cannot stop the run. The Titans threw 10 passes and Derrick Henry ran for 200 yards and they win easily. And now they face the best rushing offense in the NFL with the Philadelphia Eagles, with how strong their offensive line is. So the Eagles can basically pick their score in this Thursday night game.
And a top 5 defense to go along with it, right? So that's the other thing.
It's a complete and utter mismatch here. And I'm not sure, the number is what it is for a reason, but you don't see numbers this big in the NFL very often. So it seems extremely safe from a survivor situation, not only in terms of implied win probability, but also the X's and O's matchup on the field. But I will say they appear to be the most popular pick this week. So if you're playing game theory here, that would be a reason to maybe go another route. So that you are one of the few that still have the Eagles left in another week where they're just as viable, because at least in the ESPN contest here, 36% projected ownership here on the Eagles, and the next closest team looks like it's going to be the Buffalo Bills at 18%.
I will say this about the Eagles. They have Washington next week, and while they will be big favorites in that game, Washington's froggy, right? They've got playmakers. It's not like they are completely devoid of talent. So they have Washington in week 10. They have Indianapolis in week 11, which is certainly, that team has plummeted down everybody's power ratings. Past that, though, Green Bay, Tennessee, the Giants, and that's in 12, 13, 14, probably not jumping up and down to play them in those situations. And so I'm looking more at them and holding on to Buffalo, where Buffalo in week 11 has Cleveland. Remember, that's before Deshaun Watson comes back. You get Detroit in week 12 with Buffalo. You get New England in 13. You get the Jets in 14. So there is very, very, very favorable matchups with Buffalo moving forward. So my gut says you hold on to them, Steven. And even with the Chiefs this week, they have games, if you are to make it that far, right? They play Houston in week 15. They play Denver in 14. I know we think Denver's garbage at this point. No, they play Denver in 14, Houston in 15. So if you are kind of thinking you're in it for the long haul, you got some really favorable games for Kansas City down the stretch as well.
Yeah, I'm looking at these 3 team schedules, the Eagles, the Chiefs, and the Bills, and trying to figure out which one I think is the one that is worth saving. And the honest answer is there really isn't a good answer or a bad answer here, in my opinion, because there are several spots for each of these teams down the road here where I'd be comfortable playing them. You mentioned the Eagles having Washington next week. The Colts are a train wreck. You're not going to be comfortable playing them against the Packers, obviously, but they still have a game against Chicago in week 15. You mentioned the Chiefs matchups and the Bills. You know, they're not going to lose to Zach Wilson this week.
No.
You're not going to play them against Minnesota next week. Cleveland, you're still getting them without Deshaun Watson in that game. And then they still have a matchup against Detroit on the schedule and the Jets again in week 14. So this feels like a situation, Matt, where there really isn't a wrong answer here, in my opinion.
No. I think the only wrong answer would be maybe, again, if there's a lot of people left in your, if you're talking, if there's only 20, 30, 40, 50 people, then yeah, there's no wrong answer. My only wrong answer, I think, would be just the Chiefs, considering if you are in it for the long haul, like having Denver and Houston games in back-to-back weeks, if you had the Chiefs in your pocket, would be a good feeling, right? Like having them in 14 and 15, like, so where you would have the choice in back-to-back weeks when you wanted to use the Chiefs. By then, maybe the pool is all the way down to just a handful of people left. And if you have the Chiefs, you're probably the only person that does. And so for me, that's the only thing. But yeah, outside of that, man, I think the Eagles, for me, certainly number one with a bullet. Buffalo can't go wrong. Can't go wrong with the Chiefs either. If you don't have any of those available, or if you are looking to get super froggy, which I'm not completely recommending, but we do have, like we said, we have Cincinnati as a touchdown favorite. We have Miami as a 5.5 point favorite. And we have New England as a 5.5 point favorite as well. How do you feel at all about those games? I mean, Cincinnati now down Chase and now down Chidobe Awuzie, like they don't have a solid corner. I mean, I don't know about Cincinnati, man. Like they are going to have to figure something out on the defensive side of the ball because all their corners are hurt. I don't know if they'll make a trade today. We're doing this before the end of the trade deadline, so maybe they can make a move or something or whatever. But as we're recording this, I'd probably rather play the Dolphins against the Bears or even the Patriots against the Colts than I would the Bengals against the Patriots right now.
Yeah, teams like the Bengals that have basic protection issues on the offensive line really scare me because it just opens up a wide range of outcomes where they could be blown out any given week if the opponent gets any type of pass rush. So the Bengals are not a team I'd be comfortable with here, even though they are number 4 in terms of converting the money line to implied win probability this week. They're the only other team with a higher than 70% implied win probability other than the Eagles, Bills, and Chiefs. But outside of that, if you're looking
Steven,
at Patriots and Dolphins,
let's remember about Cincinnati too. Bye next week in week 10. So if you wanted to use them in 11 or 12 or whatever, you would at least be having them come off of a bye where maybe Chase is back, maybe Awuzie is back, depending on what the severity of these injuries are and all the different things like that. Like, so in theory, you would be getting a healthier version of Cincinnati anyway if you did hold on to them.
Who are you more comfortable playing between the Patriots and the Dolphins this week?
I think it's a massive mismatch with the Dolphins and the Bears. The Bears defense obviously has traded away their best 2 players, and their secondary just can't hold up to Miami in this passing game. That being said, I would say we need to at least consider the weather before we lock in our plays this week, because there is, at least early in the week, some weather concerns in Chicago, which could make this game a little less favorable for Miami. If this is going to be a sloppy track, obviously, like, you lose a little bit of what you get with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and things like that. If it's going to be super wet and disgusting, we know that Soldier Field, that Chicago turf is notorious for getting just out of control, right? I mean, like, it's like notorious for being a horrible field. So there's at least that. So I'd keep an eye on that. If the field did get super, super sloppy, then I still don't have a problem playing New England this week, as much as I don't love this team. I don't love what's going on in Indianapolis even more. I mean, now they go fire the offensive coordinator. There's the quarterback change. They fire the offensive coordinator. There's all kinds of stuff that I think you can kind of put in your pocket about not liking with the Colts right now.
You make a great point about the wind in Miami, especially with Tua's arm strength and maybe not being able to throw through some high winds as well as, some other quarterbacks might be able to do. So you have to monitor that. Of these three, I think I'd definitely be most comfortable playing the Patriots here this week. And I say that with a temptation of maybe taking the Colts to cover this spread. I just think that...
Right, but we just need a win.
Yeah, we just need a win.
Yeah.
And we're talking about Sam Ehlinger in his second start against a Bill Belichick defense who we have seen time and time again confuse and disrupt young quarterbacks that don't have a lot of experience in the NFL. Now combine that as well with Jonathan Taylor, who's got an ankle issue, and I'm not sure what running back you put behind this Colts offensive line. They're not going to get the job done because this is another unit that has shown time and time again, with the exception of one weird week, which I don't know what happened, where they magically got good against the Jaguars. But other than that, this Colts offensive line has been really bad, and they can't have basic protection for their quarterback or their run game. So I don't know if I'm impressed with the Patriots rest of season, but I think they're playing an extremely flawed team in Indianapolis.
Yep, I am with you. I mean, listen, as we said, shallow pool, take your pick with Eagles, Bills, or Chiefs. For me, Eagles 1, Bills 2, Chiefs 3. And if you are in still a bigger pool and you want to get a little, and you want to hold on to those teams, look, I don't blame you. Look, I play to win too. That's why I'm out, right? I played to win. And if you want to continue to play to win and hold on to the three most powerful teams because you feel like the Dolphins or the Patriots can get it done, I'm with you. I like the Dolphins a little bit better than the Patriots, so long as the weather isn't a huge concern in Chicago. So that's something I would definitely monitor. If the weather is a concern in Chicago, then again, I still would feel fairly comfortable with the Patriots here. We just need a win. We don't need them to cover the 5.5. We just need a win out of them. And so that's about the extent for me, though. Like I said, I'm off on the Bengals until I can figure out this health situation. Plus, with them on bye next week, this is one of those games also, Steven, where it's like, hey, let's just try and get through this damn thing and get to next week, get to the bye, and then hopefully, get some stuff together as we become a healthier team. So that's kind of where I am this week from a Survivor standpoint.
The last team I'll note here, I was tempted initially to maybe put the Chargers in my top 3 as a contrarian pick this week, with them coming off the bye and playing at Atlanta. But it looks like Atlanta's going to get a little bit healthier in the secondary. It also looks like they might get Cordero Patterson back in the run game, which also helps their passing game as well. It makes them a little bit tougher to game plan against when he is the running back there as a dual threat. So on top of that, no Mike Williams. Keenan Allen wasn't back on Monday after the bye week yet. So a lot of injury question marks and issues still here for the Chargers going on the road despite coming out of a bye week. So that kept them out of the mix for me. But top 3 for me, I follow you, Eagles, Bills, Chiefs, in whatever order you want there. I'm not sure there's a bad pick. If you want to go a little bit contrarian, it would be the New England Patriots for me. You mentioned the weather for Miami. The last note for me is I think that Miami defense is still a big issue for them, and I'm at least encouraged by what Justin Fields and that Chicago offense is looking like. So I give a slight edge on the contrarian pick to the Patriots for me.
Guys, as always, everything we do absolutely free. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button down below. Let us know in the comment section, who are you playing in Survivor this week? What is your situation? How many people are left in your pool? Let us know. Of course, you can talk about it all in the Discord channel as well. Lines.com, upper right-hand corner. Click on that as well. For Steven, I'm Matt. Good luck here in Survivor week number 9.